This stock is up 13.85%. And what's crazy is the infrastructure that's happening underneath this stock. APLD has been surging in today during our live trading session. Our top position snapped back super hard. Our portfolio is up 30% today. So pretty crazy. If you want to see these trades in real time, then you can get access in the second link in the description below. The sale ends at midnight for StockMate. So let's jump into it. You can see the $3 price point that it was at in April of last year, consistently surged and then broke below that 200-day moving average. Things have been getting shaky for APLD, but this is what we last projected. In fact, this was our projection that we made just before today. If we go back to the videos, I don't know, it looks like here on this video on APLD, I don't know if we could get the analysis. I don't want to go too crazy, but we went over where we were projecting this stock to go. This was it right here. You see that? Look at that. We were anticipating them to jump up to that $20 or $30 range, $28 range, and continue back up to $30 or $40 a share. This was yesterday. Okay, pretty crazy. Then what happened today? Well, look at that. We see a 20% increase, nearly a 17% increase over the last 2 days. And we do see it start to make its run, continuing back up into that $28 range as it's currently at $27.94. Now, here's a big question with APLD. Why is it surging, and why has it gone from $3 a share to $30 a share this year? And why potentially could this stock make its way up to $40 a share? First, it's important to address that the integrity online is not so good. All right. If we look at some of the news articles, let's just take a look at, APLD news. There's a lot of hype. This is a hype market. Everybody's like, this is going big, this is going big. You got to have a conscience on yourself to say, let's really just look at the facts and go from there. Some of this hype is actually fairly well driven, and it makes sense because whenever there's a supply problem, you're immediately looking at, okay, so who is providing the demand? Whenever there's a big boom of any sort, there's always that question of which companies are the ones that are kind of like the bottleneck that would support the growth. APLD is one of those companies. They have a revenue of about $64 million a quarter, not huge, but up 84% year over year. They're growing year over year in revenues. And then their balance sheet has recently increased drastically to $2.4 billion. So they're obviously, acquiring a lot of capital, increasing the revenue 84%. They are positioning for something. Then we know it's about positioning. It's not about, the perfect lineup, the exact, perfect analysis. A lot of times it does come down to the leverage and the ability for you to see where companies are emerging. And so with their current market cap of about $7.78 billion, we see their cash positioning for that. But really where they're growing is going to be that they are supporting the infrastructure. It's kind of like, imagine if I was, or you were, imagine you're starting a company and you come up and you say, Will, I started this company and it is backpacks for the schools. Okay, very cool. But what if that school doesn't allow pencils and doesn't allow notebooks and doesn't allow lunches? The lunches are provided. There's no reason for a kid to bring a backpack, right? So that backpack business, I'm sorry, it's not going to do so well. However, if there was a massive demand for notebooks, it was like they were saying, bring 10 notebooks, bring all of your pencils, bring your lunches. You got to bring in fact, you got to stay the night at the school, whatever. Then those backpacks would sell much more because kids need backpacks. Same thing is true here. There's a huge demand for the pencils or for the books, which are the GPUs. The GPUs, huge demand. They are like every AI company is saying we need more these GPUs strung together so we can run our AI models. We need more GPUs, more of this. And so this company, they're doing the backpacks. They're saying, hey, we got the backpacks. We got we have the big center that we're building and constructing, these multi-level centers to house all of the GPUs. And so they're partnered with Supermicro Computer, because Supermicro Computer does those housing systems a lot. You can see Supermicro Computer providing for XAI, the biggest supercomputer in the world, by Elon there. So that's a big deal. And you see them partnered. And then also they're going to the sources, the wind energy, the solar energy. And so on one hand, you got the backpacks, but then on the other hand, you got the people that are saying, hey, let's make sure that this isn't made of material that's going to hurt the environment. Let's make sure that these backpacks are sourced ethically, right? We don't want to see something like these backpacks are made from a sweatshop in China or something. No, let's make sure they're sourced well for these kids. In fact, they might even require that. When I was at school and I was growing up, at the school that I went to, first of all, they didn't allow you to have any logos. It's one of those schools, no logos at all, because of the programming of seeing brands. But also, they didn't allow you to wear like very processed materials, like synthetic things, like polyester type stuff that was like very China. Like it wasn't supported. All the pencils were like locally sourced, all those things, because they cared about that side of how kids think, basically. And so one thing to consider is a big issue with these data centers is the environmental impacts. That's a big part. And not just the environmental impacts. Like we could talk about, oh, there's more than enough water. There's grid power. It's fine. We can burn coal for 1 billion years. I get that. But what I'm saying is the actual noise pollution or the impact on the local communities from a electricity standpoint is actually becoming quite big. In fact, it's so big that if you look at the Business Insider, there was a big article that came out where Business Insider put together this huge data center map, and they said, we found every single data center in the country, okay? All of the data centers, 1,240 data centers in America already built and approved for construction. And they found every single data center because there was people that didn't know about the data centers until after the electricity bills went so huge and local communities came, backlashing, if not shutting down certain projects or not allowing projects to happen. But some of the companies, while I promote the growth, I think we should always be building more infrastructure in the United States. There's an ethical way to do it, and on top of that, there's a way that you do it with transparency. And actually, one of the reasons that this was made, this list here, was because some companies were like, we're going to build this data center here, and we're going to build it without. He was trying to be as quiet as possible so that the local community doesn't really know. And then we can, tap into this grid or what have you, right? Big demand. And then what happens is then you have the local community saying, why is our electricity bill 3 times bigger or what have you? So I like that APLD has approach here, where APLD's approach actually is focused on the sourcing of that energy. So one thing that they do is they do like the engineered to bring workloads directly to the point of generation. So that's a key factor and why I think that they're getting selected by CoreWeave, and potentially there's a rumor that they're going to work with Microsoft. We know they're already kind of working with NVIDIA and Dell and Intel, Hewlett Packard. But if they really get into the Microsoft, Google type of partnerships, there's been some that are like undisclosed who they're working with, but may have very large points on them, or you could say contract values. If they are working with those companies, maybe those companies really care. I think that they do. I think they want them to be sourced properly. And so maybe this is wind and solar right now and hydroelectric, but maybe it's also going to be, let's say, nuclear. So we'll get into that. We cover a lot of those stocks. In fact, I've seen some really cool messages over in StockMate here as well, where if you haven't seen it inside StockMate, there's some really good messages from people talking about APLD. Did you know we have just under 3 dozen millionaires in StockMate? If you ever want to tune on in to our live sessions and get these insights and talk with them or myself, it's the second link below. So don't miss it, because again, the holiday sale, it's going away. You want to probably grab it before a holiday goes away. It's going away. So go grab it if you want. Otherwise, you got the YouTube videos here, always on it. But here's what's going on. So if that's the case, the big idea is, all the infrastructure, all of the demand, then you have this, now the projections coming out and the nearest support levels, the nearest resistance levels. Today, with this big surge, it's up 14% right now. You have a resistance level that's going to be around $28 or $29 a share right here, this resistance here. And then you also have maybe a resistance here around 28. You can see that previous support, but really the strong resistance should be around $29 a share. And so they could potentially continue to run here. RSI, MACD are overbought at the moment, which might cause a pullback before the continuation. But the longer term trend, you can kind of see this, what we're watching here would be more of this growth up into this $40 range. But hey, for us to make a 17% gain in the last 2 days, let's go. Love to see it. We do see them continue to run up really 10x at this point since we started covering them earlier this year. It's always good to see. When it comes to APLD, I don't have much. I have some APLX positions there. I do have more APLD we've been holding in the Schwab portfolio, somewhere back here around $15, $16 a share. So we'll continue to watch there. But the nearest resistance levels to watch, the support level, you got a strong support here around $24 a share, which they definitely validated here. And then you see them break above that 200-day moving average, which looks good. So overall, direction continuing. You see some of the bullish momentum continuing here. When we look at the Prophecy app, so this is the app that I use here to get analysis of any stock with any model. So we could use Grok or OpenAI Claude, and we're going to use Grok here. Let me just drop in APLD, and let's see what analysis we have going for this company. See, the future analysis is loading up. They did recently have a transaction with a company here, Exo. That was an interesting find. Okay, over the next month, they're projected to get up into this $29, $30 range. So we see them reaching there today. Anticipating a little bit of a pullback here, as we just mentioned. RSI MACD was overbought. So in the next hour, according to Grok, we're looking at a pullback here into the next 4 hours. So pretty bullish. So I guess maybe into tomorrow. Let's see. Yeah, tomorrow, continuing some of that bullish momentum. And according to Grok, that we're going to see this company continue to rally into the next 6 months into this year, up into that $35 range up there. So really continuing double-digit percentage points over the next few months. And you can just see kind of on that near term, again, on the technicals, you could see there that resistance here around what we were just kind of going over, around 28, 29, up here, 28.65. And then the next day, you can see maybe getting up into that $29 range. That's what we were just kind of talking about there. So that would mean kind of continuing back. And this is the nearest resistance that the AI is talking about there, right around $29 at that level. So we shall see how that looks again from here to here. We'll see if any opportunities present themselves for us to trade them more in the shorter term, as we already have long-term positions on APLD, but we will see some shorter term opportunities as well at market open. If you'd like to tune in tomorrow at market open, it's the second link in the description down below. On top of that, if you have any, comments on APLD, what do you think? I love the insights. I think the best insights we have are from you guys. In fact, some of you guys even work at APLD. which is really cool. Got some good comments there, so continue to leave those comments. Let me know what you see. And then on top of that, if you'd like to get your hands on this AI tool Prophecy right now, you can actually get StockMate for free when you join Prophecy app. Prophecy app, you get 1 year access in the machine deal for, all you have to do is use the code. I believe it's 300 off now in the first link below. You can get access to our AI here. It's got insider trading, quantum analysis. You could use and even analyze with IonQ, Rigetti, and others to save yourself time. But if you just want to tune in, see our entries, see our exits, it's the second link below for StockMate. If you want to use the tools that I use, it's the first link below. Appreciate you all. Hopefully I earned your thumbs up, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.